Okay guys, we're back in my garage again because Ohio winters are kind of lame for fishing. At least this winter they are. Everything's frozen over, so a lot of people have been asking about my settings on my fish finder, in particular my Helix 7 Hummingbird. And now these settings won't go for every fish finder, but I'm going to run through the settings on my Helix 7, and it's an SI. And a lot of people have been asking about my exact settings, so I'm going to run through the ones that I actually change up to make it work a little bit better for kayak fishing. There are, if you see my other video, low and slow is a pretty much common thing, and you're going to see it more so in here. Now, I'm not going to go through absolutely every single setting, because if you look on here, look at all the different alarm settings. You know, if you want to set your alarm for anything in particular, you can do that in the Hummingbird Helix. You know, you got all these options, low battery, fish ID, all this stuff. I don't use any of it, so I don't really have any alarms set. This is where it matters. It's in the Sonar Settings. And let's go back to how you actually get to the screen. You hit menu twice, and that will bring you to the main menu setup. And then you switch over to your Sonar Settings here, which is one over, and you look at a Chirp Settings. I have mine set on high frequency. I will change that a little bit. I'll do medium and high as well, but mainly on that. Surface clutter I always have set at 3. Switch fire is another one that I'll change a lot because it gives me a lot clearer image, and it also depends how deep I'm fishing. If I'm fishing really deep and it's clear water, I'm always in max mode. If I'm on one of my tributaries that I fish off the Ohio River that's blown out and muddy and leaves and there's small debris in it, I will turn it to the clear mode, and it'll make a big difference on my returns. Now that said, if I'm trying to fish deep and there's lots of stuff in the water, well, you're just going to have to deal with one setting or the other. They're pretty different from each other. I always have my fish ID turned off. My fish ID sensitivity doesn't matter because I have it turned off. RTS windows off. Bottom view structure ID. Zoom width narrow. SI readouts are always on. That's the type of transducer that's hooked up, is the combat side imaging one. The color bar is on. The temperature graph is off. Ice fishing mode is off. So those are the biggest ones that are those are the biggest settings that are going to make a huge difference for you. Your nav settings and all this stuff. This is not going to change your viewing of your fish finder. It's not going to change your side imaging. It's not going to change your down imaging. It's not going to change any of those. It's good to know how to use this stuff and understand what your track is and your current track, and do you want to save one or not. So what a track is think of it of just mapping out where your kayak went on a map. And you can save those if you have a hot run where you go through certain banks and you're hitting certain waypoints in a certain order. You can save those so you can just trace those your footsteps exactly on the way back, or you can clear it out. I tend to watch mine when I do drifts. When I do drifts for hybrids in the winter times over in front of creek mouths, I'll drift these sections that I'm getting good viewings on, and I'll save my tracks for those so I can come back at a later date and check them out. You know, you kind of have to explore this stuff on your own a little bit too, you know. These are all the different waypoints. Whoops, we won't look at those. Sorry. Your save track defaults. This is just some of the other options for you, as whether you want them visible or not. It's all up to you, you know. Cast ring, I have mine turned off. Trolling grid, 0 track point interval. This stuff is, I don't even mess with this stuff, to be honest with you. So these are good things to look at and understand. But I don't really mess with these because they're already pretty good. And they're not going to help me in the kayak any more than anything else. You know, your chart settings, these are all stuff relating to your charts. So if you have I have a card. If you have a card, you'll select which card you want to use or what map you want to use, because there's some base maps on here. Your card usually has some maps, so you'll be able to pick between the two. You can. Well, this is kind of neat. You can change the a shade for your depth. I like to play with this depending on what time of year it is, and that helps me find creek channels. It helps me also find spawning flats. Just at a glance at the map, you'll be able to see them because they'll be marked in a different color. This is all user preference right here, so there's no right or wrong for these settings. I mean, you don't even really need to mess with those. I do use my auto chart a lot. This is a great invention because you think that the maps you buy are really accurate until you start charting them yourself, and then you start seeing that there's other things going on. And that's actually helped me in a couple areas to see a different pattern that was happening that I couldn't see with my other maps. And what it was is there was all these submerged, basically humps that were about 5 feet tall that weren't showing up on my card that I had paid $200 for, but was showing up on Hummingbird chart when I was charting it live. And so on your auto chart live, it can really show you some hidden stuff. This is all user preference again. I'm American, so I'm feet, miles per hour, normal stuff. Views. This is one thing that they have a lot on here, and I actually have quite a few hidden, and I actually have probably too many visible now because you really only end up using 2 or 3 of them. And rotating back and forth, and I probably have like 6 or so up there, so you don't really need all those views, but pick and choose which ones you do want. I mean, they're all kind of interesting and usable in their own ways. I don't use this stuff at all, so let's go to down imaging, and this is going to show you my sensitivity, which is actually a little high from what I normally run. I was actually running my Torpedo the other day. Oops. And if you go to your enhanced field, you can see your sensitivity, your contrast, the sharpness. I don't really have a lot for this stuff except for I turn it down just a little bit, 1 or 2 from the standard settings, and that seems to do pretty good for downward imaging. Now your 2D, that's going to change a lot. So my sensitivity has changed way down, and that's because we're moving slower in Kayak. So I like to crank that down. This is a speed-related thing for me. This helps keep you a clear image. My contrast is set down a little bit as well. You can see my lower range is auto. My chart speed. So chart speed again, which some fish finders will call ping rate, but if you got a Helix 7, this shows you right here, I have mine set at 3, and I'll turn that down to 2 and 1 in the wintertime because I'm moving so slow and I'm looking for fish, and I'm trying to pick out what's the different fish in the schools. So I'll crank that way down. This is very speed related. So this goes to low and slow. This is your slow, and this is your low. So it's low sensitivity, slow chart speed. That was the whole the point, and that kind of goes for any fish finder out there. But you can see it on the Helix 7. If you got a Helix 7 and you just want a quick way to get your settings pretty good, or what I consider really good, take a look at these guys. This is about as good as it gets for me on my Helix 7. Oops. And then let's go to side imaging. Here's my settings for side imaging. You can see my active pane. I mean, that's personal preference. Split, you want it 60-40. I like to see a little bit more of my side imaging when I'm looking between the 2D and the side imaging. My side imaging sensitivity, low. It's on 5, low. Let's go into enhanced. So it's low. My contrast is set, it's actually set a little too high. I was playing with it the other day. I usually have it set at 10. The sharpness is at medium, and I have my contour mode turned it off. My range is at 65. Now, I changed that quite a bit on mine, between 65 and like 40, and even 20 sometimes. It depends how big of creek I'm in, or tributary I am, or how skinny the water is, or what I'm trying to do. Sometimes I will turn that just so it's showing me one side. You can have the SI image for one side or both sides. Sometimes I'll just turn it to the right side, so it's just showing you the right side, and it gives you the whole viewing area right there for the right side, so you can get a much better view of the right side. So a lot of times I'll do that when I know I'm cruising a bank that has a bunch of trees on it. I will just cruise with just show me just the right side so I can get a really good view. I don't have to squint. Now if I'm just cruising around, it's on both. Oops. Chart speed, slow, 3. This is the refresh rate again. So I have that set slow because we are in kayaks and we're moving slow. So it's part of the low and slow philosophy. I just like the yellow color, totally personal preference. There you go, guys. That is the basic setup I have that's for my Hummingbird Helix 7 SI unit. That's going to make you have a better day on the water and have your fish finder really pay off for you quickly. And those are my secrets, man. I don't really have a whole lot of secrets other than that. It's really, if you play around with it long enough, you guys would all come to that. So hopefully some of the guys who have just gotten these units who aren't real sure about the settings, hopefully this is going to help you a little bit. And please ask me any questions on Facebook or here in the video. Please like and share this video. And then if there's anything else I can do for you guys or any other videos you want to see, please let me know. Thanks a lot.